welcome back to Market Headline. The Central Bureau of Statistics recorded inflation throughout November 2020 of 0.28%. The spiraling prices of several commodities drove Indonesia's inflation to rise.
The inflation data of November, which was released by the Central Bureau of Statistics, stated that there was 0.08% of inflation, and therefore, as a year-on-year, Indonesia experienced 1.59% inflation. Inflation was contracted by the price developments for various commodities in November 2020, which indicated an increase. But Statistic Indonesia also highlighted some commodities that contributed dominantly to current inflation rate. The biggest contributor belongs to food and beverages and tobacco, which is contributed of a 0.86%. 83 of the 90 cities surveyed for the Consumer Price Index witnessed inflations with the highest of 1.15% recorded in Tual, while 7 cities witnessed a deflation of the highest of a 0.22% recorded in Kendari. Jakarta, Gilang Praditya for IDX Channel.
Yes, viewers, in November, the Indonesia's inflation trend continued. According to the report, the November figures indicates a persistent increase in 2 months in a row. Previously, Indonesia experienced deflation for 3 consecutive months, namely July to September. So how was the trend going so far? Let's take a look in the next graphic. So this is Indonesia's inflation trend. We can see that this is the data in 2020. January, Indonesia recorded inflation 0.39%. In February, 0.28%, while in March, there was 0% inflation. And April, inflation hit 0.08%, and May, it was lower, 0.06%. And in June, 0.18%, and July, August, September, Indonesia recorded deflation in 3 consecutive months. In July, 0.01% deflation, in August 0.05%, and 0.05% in September. While in October, Indonesia again posted inflation at 0.07% and November 0.28%, and the data is taken from Indonesia Statistics Agency. Well, in short, the November inflation brought the calendar inflation to 1.23% and year-on-year inflation to 1.59%. So what does it mean? The minimum rise in inflationary pressure indicates a persistent low in the purchasing power of consumers, especially at a time when the economy is on the verge of recession, characterized by increases in price of major food items and service fee. Speaking about sectors, there were some sectors that poses higher inflation than others, and let's take a look in the next graphic. So in this graphic, there are sectors experience major deflation. The first sector is food and beverage with 0.86% deflation, healthcare 0.32% deflation, and transportation 0.3% deflation. So there were sectors experience major deflation by Indonesia Statistics Agency. Contradictorily, there are sectors that experience deflation. The group of personal care and other services recorded a deflation of 0.23%. While the group of housing, water, electrical power, and household fuels witnessed a deflation of 0.04%. And back again in Indonesia's case, food and beverage and tobacco sector contributed to the highest to the inflation at 0.86%. And let's see what are the commodities that gave highest contribution through the next graphic. So this is the sector as main contributor of deflation. Chicken eggs 0.04%, chicken meat 0.08%, and shallots 0.03%. On the other hand, there were still several foodstuff commodities that experienced price declines or deflation. Among them, rice and beef each contributed 0.01% to last month's deflation. But the question is, why did most food commodities post inflation? Statistic Indonesia has the answer. The agency attributed the hike in prices to the disruption in supplies at the start of the rainy season. The agency also warned the impact of the rainy season may go the inflation up in the coming months, particularly for foodstuff commodities that are susceptible to weather in terms of production and distribution. Meanwhile, the agency noted that 83 of the 90 cities surveyed for consumer price index witnessed inflation. And let's see what are the cities with highest inflation and also deflation in the next graphic. So cities with highest inflation and also deflation. Tual in Nusa Tenggara posted highest inflation at 1.15% in November, while Kendari posted deflation 0.22%. The data is taken from Indonesia Statistics Agency. As the highest of 1.15% recorded in Tual, while the lowest of 0.01% registered in Bima. Meanwhile, 7 cities witnessed deflation with the highest of 0.22% recorded in Kendari and the lowest of 0.01% registered in Melaboh and Palopo. But the good thing is, as a whole, the consumer price index picked up for the 3rd time in a row and was higher than the 1.44% recorded in October, but still below Bank Indonesia's target range of 2 to 4%. On a month-to-month basis, the CPI rose of 0.28%. So even though weakening consumer demand persists in Indonesia despite a jump in annual inflation recorded in November, big chances are still there to make economy goes well again. So viewers, stay tuned on Market Headlines. We'll be right back after the break.